Hi, welcome everyone to today's video on MCQs on natural resources. In my previous video, we have already completed the chapter MCQ, the natural resources from Class 9, NCERT, CBSE Biology. So today we are going to discuss some MCQs on the natural resources. So let's start with it. What's the first question? What does the term biosphere imply? The atmosphere that covers the earth, the water that comprises 70 to 75% of the earth's surface, the soil on which the plants grow, or all of the above components which provide life supporting zone to all the living beings. So if you remember the video in the last video where I have discussed about the chapter natural resources, I have talked that biosphere comprises of three important things. The first thing is the air or the atmosphere. The second thing is the water and the hydrosphere. And the third thing is the soil or the land or the toposphere. So these three together comprise or complete or make the total biosphere in which the human beings or all living beings we live in. So it is not only the atmosphere or the air, it is the air, water as well as the soil which completely or make the complete biosphere. So it is all the above components which provides a life supporting zone to all the living beings. So answer should be D, that is option 4th or answer D. Let's move on to the next question. The biosphere constitutes the biotic and abiotic resources. They include animals, air and water. Animals, plants, humans, air, water and soil. Animals, plants, air and water. Animals, plants, air and soil. So if the term that is they are telling what biosphere constitutes. Just now I have discussed that biosphere constitutes of all the three, the water, the air and the land, and in this biosphere is all the living beings that survive or that lives in. So what are those living beings constitute? What does that living beings constitute and what does the total biosphere constitute? So the biosphere, they must include the biotic and the abiotic sources. So what is the biotic and the abiotic sources? It is the animals, plants, humans, air, water and soil. So it includes all the natural resources as well as all the living beings that is present on this earth. So it all constitutes together the biotic and the abiotic sources of the biosphere. So it is option B. Let's move on to the next question. Cells need oxygen to break down this compound in order to get energy, which results in the release of carbon dioxide. So cells need this particular material or this particular compound to break down oxygen in order to break down So let's move on to the next question, that cells need oxygen to break down this compound in order to get energy. Now cells need this particular compound. So what are those options? It is glucose, sucrose, maltose or fructose. It is obviously the glucose which the cells break down in order to get in oxygen, and this oxygen that they get is required for various other work processes that goes on in a living human or living body or a living being. So the answer is A, glucose. Burning of a substance results in the production of dash with the use of dash. So burning of the substance, we always know that burning of the substance liberates out what? It liberates out carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, and with the use of, so combustion is a process which is possible only with the use of oxygen. So it should be oxygen, carbon dioxide. No, it should be carbon dioxide and oxygen and carbon monoxide and oxygen. So it is the results which help in production of carbon dioxide and oxygen, because in the production of carbon dioxide, that is when you are burning a substance, you are giving out carbon dioxide, and it is with the use of oxygen. So it is answer B. Let's move on to the next question. Which of the following statements is true about the fixing of carbon dioxide? Plants convert CO2 from atmosphere into glucose through the process of photosynthesis. They dissolve carbon dioxide in water is used by the marine animals to make shells. Both A and B, none of these. So when we read the statements, or if we have read the chapter, we have already discussed the chapter, we know that the oxygen, the carbon dioxide that is present in the atmosphere used up by the plants in order to the formation of glucose. In order for the formation of glucose, what is glucose? It is nothing but the end product of the process of photosynthesis. It is the food that the plants prepare, and it takes place and it is done by the process of photosynthesis. So carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is converted into glucose through the process of photosynthesis. It is absolutely correct. And even the dissolved carbon dioxide, because the water also consists of carbon dioxide, it is dissolved in the water. It is used by the marine animals for the preparation of the shells. That is all the molasses or the shelled animals that we see, like that of the snail, the molasses, they all consist of shells, and these shells are made out of limestone, which is a primary compound is carbon dioxide, which is utilized or which is obtained from the water which has the carbon dioxide mixed with it. So it is both A and B are correct. That is option C. Which of the statement is correct? Atmosphere does not allow sudden increase of temperature during the daytime. The atmosphere does not allow sudden release of heat during the night to keep the night warm. Both A and B. Obviously, it is both A and B, because the atmosphere does not allow sudden increase of temperature during the daytime. So what happens? Most of the heat that comes from the sun, most of the heat is radiated back from the atmosphere, so that all the heat does not end up into the Earth's atmosphere, because it will unnecessarily heat up the Earth to a very high temperature. But some amount of heat is obviously required by all the living beings and for the proper functioning of the Earth. So yes, some amount of the heat or the sun's energy is absorbed by the Earth's atmosphere, and this also helps the Earth to keep warm during the night time when there is no sunlight or when there is no sun's energy. So this obtained from the second question, or the second option, that is atmosphere does not allow the sudden release of the heat during the night in order to keep the nights warm. So both of the statements, that is the statement A and B, both are correct. So we'll go with option C. That is both A and B are correct. So coming on to the next question, in the coastal areas, in which direction the air flows during the night and what is it called? So in the coastal areas, when the air flows, what is it called, and where from does it flow? From land to sea or sea to land? So we must first think if it is a land breeze or is it a sea breeze. It is written from land to sea, land breeze; from land to sea, sea breeze; from sea to land, sea breeze; from sea to land, land breeze. This is actually a very easy question, but it is very confusing if we don't remember the sequence or we don't understand how or what is exactly happening in this. So when it is from the sea to that of the land, it is always called the sea breeze. That is, where from the wind or the breeze starts, the name comes from that. If it is from the land to the sea, it is called the land breeze. If it's from the sea to that of the land, it is called the sea breeze. Sea to that of the land, it is called the sea breeze. Now when it is from the land, during the night, what happens? During the whole day, the Earth actually heats up both the water as well as the land. So during the day, what happens? Both the land and the water get heated up. The land gets heated up at a much faster rate than that of the water. So because the land is heated up, so immediately it starts to heat up the air in contact with that of the land. And as the air gets heated up, it becomes light in nature, or it becomes light in weight. So slowly it starts rising. As the air near to the land surface starts rising, there is automatically a vacuum created. That is, the air pressure falls down. So what happens? The air from the higher pressure blows to that of the lower pressure. That is, from the air from the sea blows towards the land, called the sea breeze. Remember, this is happening in the morning. So when it is the morning, you always get the sea breeze. That is the cold breeze from that of the sea. So we get a cooler breeze during the day. Now during the night, land or the soil, it actually gets heated up as quickly. It also cools down as fast as that it gets heated up. So during the night, when there is no sun, immediately the land starts to cool down, but the water still retains the heat. So what happens? As the land starts to cool down, then water is still maintaining some temperature. So the air near to that of the sea, it becomes heated. It gets heated up, and as it becomes heated up, it is light in weight, it rises. So there is a vacuum now created over that of the sea. So pressure or air from that of the high pressure flows onto the lower pressure, that is from the land it blows towards the sea. So the cooler air from the land blows towards the sea in order to take up that place. And what happens during the night? So the air moves from the land to the sea, giving rise of the land breeze. So it is option A, that is land to the sea or the land breeze. In the coastal areas, which direction the air flows during the day and what is it called? Just now I explained. So it will be called the sea breeze, and it will be blowing from the sea to that of the land. From the sea to that of the land, calling the sea breeze. So it is option B. Let's move on to the next question. The rain causing monsoon winds of India are called southwest or northwest monsoon, southwest or northeast monsoon, southeast or northwest monsoon, and southeast or northeast monsoon. So it is called southwest or northeast also. Northeast, southwest or northeast monsoon is the wind which actually cause monsoon rains in India during the part of the year. Which of the statements is true or false? Is or are false. Sorry, it is about false only, but it might be one sentence or it might be more than one statement. The amount of suspended hydrocarbons decreased due to the combustion of the fossil fuels. The fossil fuels contain small amount of nitrogen and sulfur. On combustion of fossil fuels, there is a release of different nitrogen and sulfur oxides. These oxides of sulfur and nitrogen gives rise to acid rain. So the amount of suspended hydrocarbons decreased due to the combustion of fossil fuels. The amount of suspended hydrocarbons decreased due to the combustion of fossil fuels. We should take this sentence into consideration. So hydrocarbons, it does not decrease due to the combustion. It actually increases during the combustion. So this statement is obviously a wrong statement or a false statement. Fossil fuel contains small amount of nitrogen, sulfur. It can. The combustion of fossil fuels is a release of different nitrogen and oxides. It is obviously, and so mostly all our statements are correct except A. So it is answer A, which is a false statement. What happens? The suspended hydrocarbons increase due to the combustion of fossil fuels. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following is not a greenhouse gas? Ozone, carbon dioxide, ammonia, and methane. So which is not a greenhouse gas? It is ammonia. Answer C. Which of the statements are false? Are false. The cellular process takes place in aqueous. The cellular processes takes place in aqueous medium. The terrestrial animals require fresh water as they cannot sustain in saline water. Substances that are transported from one part of the body to another are not dissolved in water. The reactions that takes place in our body are in aqueous medium. So which of the statements are false? So it is option C, because substances that are transported from one part of the body to another are not dissolved in water. They are dissolved in water. Whatever reactions or whatever processes that takes place in our body happens due to or happens in an aqueous media. So it is option C, because they are all dissolved in water. Let's move on to the next question. The factors that determine the sustainability of life in a particular region. So what actually determines the sustainability of a life in a particular region? What are the options? Let us see. The range of temperature, availability of water, nature of soil, all of these. So all of these are very important for any living organisms to sustain in a particular region. It is the nature of temperature. If it is a very high or very low temperature, it is difficult for any person or any living being to sustain there. Even availability of water, it is very important, because without water any living things cannot survive or cannot sustain. And nature of the soil, that is also important. So we'll go with option D, that is all of these. Which of the following statements is true about water pollution? It causes a change in the temperature, addition of undesirable substances to the water bodies, removal of desirable substances from the water bodies, all of the above. So which is true? So it causes a change in the temperature. Obviously, water pollution will cause a change in the temperature. Addition of undesirable substances to the water bodies can also lead to water pollution. This is also true. Removal of desirable substances from the water bodies is also true, because if you remove the desirable things or you remove the important thing, that also causes water pollution, that also harms the quality of the water that is being affected, and so it is all of the above that results in the water pollution. So all the statements that is mentioned is true about water pollution. It is option D, or answer D. So moving on to the next question, the outermost layer of the earth is known as ozone, options are ozone, mantle, crust and atmosphere. Now atmosphere and ozone, they are the layers of the earth, they are layers of atmosphere which is present around the earth or surrounding the earth in order to protect the earth from different things. And mantle and crust, these two are related to the surface of the earth, whereas mantle is inside the earth, it is found inside the earth, whereas crust is the uppermost or the outermost layer of the earth. So it is option C, or answer C is the correct option. During the process of soil formation, which of the following are required? Sun and water, air and living organisms, none of the above, both A and B. It is both A and B are required, that is sun, water and also air, as well as the living organisms or that of the microorganisms which helps in the decomposing of the natural matter in conversion of the or formation of soil. So it is option D, that is both A and B. Moving on to the next question. The nitrogen fixing bacteria are found in the leaves of the leguminous plant, the fruits of the leguminous plants, the root nodules of leguminous plants, or the root hairs of the leguminous plants. So the root or the nitrogen fixing bacteria are found in the root nodules of the leguminous plants. It is not the root hair, but it is to the side of the roots that it remains attached like small balls or structures. These are called the root nodules, which helps in the nitrogen fixing into the atmosphere, that is the conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into the nitrogen which the plants can use. So it is option C. What is the percentage of nitrogen in air? It is 60%, 70%, 75% or 78%. It is 78% of the nitrogen is present in air. Answer D. The process by which ammonia is converted into nitrites and then to nitrates is called ammonification, nitrification, de-nitrification, and none of the above. It is nitrification, the process of nitrification, that is option B. Is the process with which ammonia is converted into nitrites and then nitrates, and this process is known as nitrification. Plants convert the nitrates and nitrites and convert them into proteins, malic acids, amino acids, or none of the above. The plants convert these nitrates and nitrites, and this is purely done for the conversion of or conversion into amino acids. That is option C. Let's move on to the next question. Recently, a hole has been discovered in the ozone layer over the Arctic Circle, Greenland, Antarctica, or the South Pole. So it is discovered, or it has been identified, a hole has been identified on the ozone layer, and it is over Antarctica. That is option C. Carbon occurs in the elemental form in nature as carbon dioxide, diamond and graphite, ozone, or all of the above. So carbon occurs in the elemental form. In the element form means as an element. So in which form does we get? Because carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, ozone, they are all gaseous form. They are not elements. So it is only diamond and graphite. That is option B. Let's move on to the next question. Oxygen is given out in the atmosphere through the process of photosynthesis, respiration, breathing, or all of them. Oxygen is given out. Minded that oxygen is not given out through any of the processes except the process of photosynthesis. It is the only process which gives out oxygen into the atmosphere. So it is option A. How many oxygen atoms are there in the ozone molecule? We know that a common oxygen molecule consists of 2 atoms. But in the ozone molecule, it is a special type of oxygen molecule, and it consists of 3 molecules of oxygen, that is O3. So it is option B. Which of the following is true about chlorofluorocarbons or the CFCs? This is a very much dealt in or talked about in nature, because this is a compound which actually causes or which actually affects the ozone layer, and this is a compound which is not natural. It is a man-made compound. It is a man-made compound which is actually harming our ozone layer and also causing holes. And ozone layer has been harmed means the human being or the human life over on earth is also being affected, because this ozone layer protects us from all the harmful rays of the sun. It protects us from the UV rays, and it also helps to maintain the heat and maintain the proper heating texture of the earth. So this is of a very important compound which is a man-made compound, but it is not important because it is useful to us, but this is actually harmful for us. So what are the options? It is a man-made compound, very stable, not degraded by any biological processes. It is a man-made compound, very unstable, not easily degradable. It is a man-made compound, very stable but easily degradable. It is a natural compound, very stable, not easily degradable. It is not at all a natural compound. It is a man-made compound. It is very stable and not degraded by any biological processes. Because of that, it is actually causing a lot of harm to that of the ozone. So it is option A. Which of the following statements are true? Oxygen constitutes about 25% of the Earth's atmosphere. Oxygen is only given out by plants during photosynthesis. Plants are the only provider of oxygen to the atmosphere. Oxygen constitutes the maximum percentage of Earth's atmosphere. So it is option D which is incorrect, because oxygen constitutes the maximum percentage of Earth's atmosphere. No, it is nitrogen which constitutes the maximum percentage of Earth's atmosphere. It is about 78%. That's the nitrogen constitute of the total atmosphere. Oxygen comes to the second, for having a 21% share of the total Earth's atmosphere. So it is option D. So this brings us to the end of the MCQs for natural resources. If you have liked my video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions or any other questions you want me to answer back, so please put in the comment section. I'll surely get back to you. Till then, bye-bye, take care and stay safe and be at home. Thank you.